Wow. I don't know why my live didn't kick in. I was just talking to y'all. So wait, let's back up. Let's back up. Let's start this day again. But it's just inevitable what this day is turning out to be so far. So let's start over. Good morning. Let's try that again. But that's indicative of the morning that I've had thus far, and that is definitely okay. I am a little bit sleepy, but let me say this first. I almost canceled coffee and chat this month because it really crept upon me, right? And then when I first went live, as you could see, I was muted, I guess. I don't this normally automatically goes live, so I wonder if I put the wrong time, y'all. I think I put the wrong time in the stream. I so apologize for that. Good Lord, help me. So anyway, I have a whole two of you on with me. Thank you for being here and knowing that we really do start at 10. I wonder if I have it on there for 10 p.m. instead of 10 a.m. It's been that kind of start to June. So I was going to cancel coffee and chat because one, I really hadn't had a chance to pray about it and, like get a topic and see, what would be good to share. And then I was like, no, be consistent, show up. You talk about being consistent and about showing up. What's a gnat in here? And so you have to do the same. And so I was like, okay, Lord, well, I'm just going to show up and we are just going to have a what? Free conversation today. So hopefully others will just know we really start at 10 a.m. and we'll hop on and join us. If not, it will just be us three and they can watch the replay. Now, as you know, I host this coffee and chat first Saturday of every month. But it just seems like time got away from me. May started and May was over, like in the blink of an eye. And then this morning, I got up at like 4:30 to go pick up my sister and my niece from the airport, take them to their, hotel. So I came back and I was like, okay, I'm gonna lay down. So I got back at like 6 something. I said, okay, I'm gonna lay down for 2 hours before coffee and chat. And I did that. But when you lay back down, you're not like, right? So when I was going to put some witch hazel pads, like I soaked some cotton balls in witch hazel and put them on my eyes so the puffiness could go away. And look, it worked. In my opinion, it worked anyway. So what I'm going to talk about today, we're going to skip around a little bit because there has just been, it's so much that we could talk about, honestly. It's so much. But first thing I want to talk about, because this is my new thing, y'all. This is my new thing, is to sit back and just observe. Because in the world that we are currently living in, remember back in the day, you could be like, oh, let's just agree to disagree. Oh, let's agree to disagree. And everybody will still just go their separate ways after they voice their concerns or their opinions. Nobody was mad, or if someone was mad, it was like rare. It wasn't like a common occurrence. And nobody was gonna like set your house on fire, key your car, poison your dog. I mean, it was just gonna be nothing like that. But today, I am learning. Remember, y'all, we was little, zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket. So Susan is on here, and I say that to her all the time. Be like, girl, because you cannot, even if you're saying something in love or you're just making conversation, if it's in opposition, 90% of the time, I don't know what is going on with my equipment today, y'all. 90% of the time, uh, it's going to be a rodeo roundup. It's going to be a showdown. It is a gnat in here, y'all. Where does gnat come from? It is going to be a showdown. So lately, I have really been trying to like bridle my tongue. My sister, I was in California last week for my niece's graduation from high school, and she said one of her friends is like, because I was like, I'm just gonna bite my tongue. And she was like, One of her friends is like, I don't bite my tongue because it hurt too much. But I'm gonna have to just take the pain. I'm gonna have to take the pain and bite my tongue because sometimes it's just not worth it. And on the back end, when you see resolution, it's better if you let God handle it anyway. So I have really been working the last few months on just really being quiet. If I have like an issue or a problem with something, I pray about it and I just leave it in the Lord's hands, like He tells us we're supposed to do anyway, unless He instructs us in some way to handle it or to do something different or to address it. And I have really been finding that when I'm doing that, it's just better because you don't always have to get your point across, especially if you're trying to get your point across to a brick wall. What's the point? You're just wasting your energy, you're wasting your time, you're spinning your wheels, and you can clearly you can tell when somebody is receptive, even if they don't agree. If they're receptive to just hearing something else, and at the end of the day, they may be like, okay, I don't agree, but I respect your difference of opinion, or oh yeah, I never thought about it that way. Versus when somebody is like, or they just waiting for you to stop talking because they already been formulating in their head what they want to come back at you about in like a combative, kind of way. So that's the first thing I wanted to just drop a little food for thought. Just sit back and observe and only address things when you think it's going to be fruitful and beneficial, not just fruitful and beneficial to yourself, but fruitful and beneficial to the person that you are speaking to or addressing. And I promise you, you guys, life would, if we could just allow people to have their own opinion about things and do what they want to do, even if you don't agree with it, as long as they are not encroaching on who you are as a person and harming you in any kind of way. If they don't want to, believe what you believe, that's okay. That's okay. And we don't have to go around, keying cars and kicking dogs and pushing people off the subway. And somebody gave me the middle finger the other day, y'all. So look, I had just got back in town, right? Laid down for two because my flight came in at like 5 in the morning. Laid down for 2 hours. My husband had a friend of his in town, so I was like, oh, and he was leaving that day. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, grab lunch with him or whatever, right? And so we went to Cameron Village, and I missed my turn coming back. And so I was like, and I'm not in that area a lot, so I was like, okay, I was in the middle lane, and then my husband was like, "You better just turn that GPS on." And I was like, "No, I can find my way." But I was like, "Just turn the GPS on, girl." So I turned it on, and I was going to turn at that very light. So all the cars behind me, when the light turned green, I had to like get over and turn. This guy literally like laid on his horn, and then as he passed me by, he like flipped me the bird out his window. Well, if that made you feel better, sir, whatever it takes. I mean, I laughed about it because that's not doing anything to me one way or the other. But you know how some people that would just really like set them off. They might have chased the guy down, could have been road rage. Somebody could have ended up unalived or harmed, off for something. So I don't know what was going on in his life that day, but I wasn't gonna let it take me out of my character. So just let people be who they are. And if you can't deal with the people in the state that they're in, then maybe those are ties you need to sever, because sometimes we have friendships and things like that where we just like, I can't do this no more. And there's nothing wrong with that. Even explain it to the person why you can't do it anymore and keep it moving. All right, so that was number one, y'all. Okay, so okay, because I jotted down these three little things I thought about this morning. So I know it's only a few of us on here, but so if you can tell me in the chat, also tell me like, is this fan? Because I got my fan on today, y'all. Is it like making too much noise? Let me know. I have it on low. But tell me in the chat, do you feel, did I spell pressures right? Yeah. Do you feel like societal pressure in any area of your life And if you do, what areas of your life are you feeling like pressure from society? um there's several types of pressure, right? Now I don't mind biblical pressure. I do some days, right, when I'm like, Lord, that's hard, or gosh, ooh, obedience is better than sacrifice. Obedience is better than sacrifice. You got to tell yourself that because you want to disobey in some situations. But let me pop this chat up. You can't hear the film. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. So you guys, I didn't have the boom. A sleep deprivation will do right, girl. Girl. I look nice. Thank you. Oh, you look. Oh, this is so sweet. We look forward to our time together, but do understand if you need a day off. Well, since there's like 29 to 30 days in between each coffee and chat, I think I should show up. Okay, so this was in reference to, yes, just sit back and observe. You can bring the horse to water, but you can't make anyone drink. We've been saying that our whole lives. What's this? Okay, I should have my glasses on. Pressure to explain what God is doing. Oh, doing in my life. Pressure to move the way others think. Oh, that's good. Right. Okay, that's a good one. That since we just chatting today, we ain't got no specific topic. That's actually really good because sometimes God is moving in our lives in a way that our friends, our family members, just society in general, they don't understand because it don't look right. It looks like you crazy. What? God ain't told you that. Or if you just do this, this, and this, then you'll be all right. I don't understand why you're making it hard for yourself. Now, sometimes we make things hard for ourselves because we are walking in opposition to what God has for our life. Sometimes we're experiencing hardships because it's part of God's plan to grow us up and to mature us, to teach us things. And sometimes we're experiencing hardships because of our own decisions that we've made. And then we have to, allow the correction. It's like it takes us time to get into the situations that we find ourselves in. Then when we realize we're in the wrong situation, we want out. But we don't want to realize that sometimes the process of getting out is not instantaneously. Like if it took you 6 years to work your way into something, just because you realize it on 6 year and day one, on 6 year and day two, it ain't gonna all be fixed. Like it's gonna take some time. Now, it may not take you 6 years to get out of it, but it's not gonna just happen overnight. And I do know there are, still situations where the Lord can, miraculously do things. But I just believe in my own little heart that when we dig ditches for ourselves, God will give us a ladder, but we still have to climb it. And every rung that we come up, we're becoming better and we're growing and we're developing, characteristics that are more like what the plan God had for us and less like what we were doing for ourselves, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's definitely a societal pressure to live up to and look the way that the world is saying makes sense. And that is really honestly going to lead me into this other little this other oh I didn't even add it to this one. Then I'm gonna go back to the comments and then we're gonna sit right here. So, oh, the pressure to show up by others when it's not what you want. Oh, that's good. Pressure. Okay, let's expound on that. Pressure to show up by others when it's not what you want. So you're saying like um someone else wants you to be or do something that you don't really want to do or is against what you believe is right for you. And then you have to determine, do I put myself second, if I'm hearing this right? Do I bow down and push what I believe is right for me aside in order to please the other person who is requesting something from me? Tell me if I got that right. So I want to make sure I'm understanding it. And if that exactly, okay. So let me ask you, if that's correct, which now you're saying it is, how have you been navigating that? Or have you still been just saying, okay, forget it, I'm gonna put me second and give this person or that person what they want? Like how is that going for you? She might be typing out. I wish, you know how like on Microsoft Teams, you can see the bubbles like like I'm typing. Just wait, I'm typing. So that can be a really hard thing, especially depending on how great or how small that it is, because sometimes it could be something that seems really small to someone else, but for it's back and forth. Yeah, because it's hard. But let me tell you, once you get that thing down, because you're not coming from a place of selfishness, but instead self preservation. And I do believe that the Holy Spirit will prompt you when you need to do things for someone, even if you don't feel like doing it. So, for instance, what I was getting ready to say, like something could be really small. Like, for instance, okay, let's just say um, you get off work. You were supposed to get off at 4, but stuff just kept happening at work, and now you find yourself not getting off till 6, and you know you need to go to the gym for you as a stress reliever, and you had purpose in your heart. You were going to go to the gym today. Like I missed yesterday, I missed the day before because I did this for so and so, I did that for so and so, but I really got to get to the gym today. And plus you haven't even eaten yet. Like you didn't have time to eat at work because life was lifing. And so soon as you pull up into the gym, somebody calls you and says, hey, do you think you could XYZ? Now, I'm not saying like something major, like, okay, um, somebody in the hospital, there was an accident. But okay, listen to this, because you got kids too. So you about to walk into the gym, right? You done had this crazy day, crazy week, haven't eaten, but you know this is what you promised yourself today. And one of your kids call you and say, Mom, I ran out of gas. And you like, this is for me today. Like, I have got to get into this gym. I will help you, but you got to wait till after I go to the gym. And that's the best I can do. Now, your old person might be like, oh, shoot, my child need me. I got to go, 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 go. Because we have all been there. But like for me, this is for me, the person I am today, because in my mind, I'm like, well, you should have made sure you had gas. So you're not going to interrupt my flow because you wasn't checking your gas. And the gas tanks today, they tell you 38 miles, 23 miles, 6 miles. Ding, 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 ding. You need to make the next left at the gas station. So I'm gonna still go to the gym. And guess what? I'm not gonna feel bad about it. So that's like a minor thing, right? But a major thing could be, say for instance, I don't know, your, and this is nothing against like Hindus or Hinduism, but say your belief is you're a Christian, you're a believer, you're walking with the Lord, and your friend, coworker, invites you to come to some kind of Hindu ceremony, and you like your friend, you don't have nothing against them, but you're like, I can't participate in that because I do believe in spiritual warfare. I do believe in the spirit realm, and I can't expose myself into those type of customs and rituals because I understand that it's not just a custom and ritual. I may be opening myself up to something. So do you stand firm on what you believe? Or do you say, okay, I'm just going to ask God to forgive me because I don't want to hurt my friends' feelings. I don't want them to think that I don't respect them and their religion or whatever. So that's like something big because I can't deny I can't deny myself to the point where I think this may be detrimental for me, and they just have to understand. And really, when you have to say no to people for you, and God doesn't prompt you to say, okay, no, you need to go ahead and say yes, because sometimes we just don't want to be bothered, and God is like, no, I want you to go do that, and then you have to do it. But if you don't get a prompting from the Holy Spirit and you're like, I'm not about to do it, then don't do it. And if you say no and people begin to leave your life because you're saying no, maybe their time is up. I'm just saying. Or maybe it'll come full circle when they realize, oh, it's not that she was being mean or she doesn't love me. It's just like, it's time. Like I have to be able to be in a place where I can pour out, but I can't continue to pour out if I never stop to refill. And that's a big thing for us, especially as women. We have to learn how to refill. Okay, so I do show up at times, but fearing to say no, you can't be afraid because the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear. He has not. And for like, I have had a young lady I used to mentor, and she used to always say, like, I'm such a people pleaser. I'm such a people pleaser. And so, to her own, killing herself, she would do things that she did not want to do. She was afraid to say no because she wanted people to like her. And same thing, but if people gonna like you, love you, they gonna like you and love you no matter what. And so we have to get past the fear of man. The only thing, especially as believers, anybody who's on here as a believer, which is usually who I'm talking to, we fear no man. The only fear we have is the loving fear of the Father. You know, I can't worry about what anybody says, does, or think if I am in alignment with what the Father is saying, because I fear the wrath of Him more than any person walking on this earth. So, um, okay, so the scenario I was talking about, yes, in a situation like that, but if they are your friend, they will understand why you can't show up. Exactly, exactly. So this says, my opinion on that is that you have to be guided by the Holy Spirit. Yes, if a God says you don't want to, but I want you to, and then the Holy Spirit may say, no, 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 you can't go. Right. Right. Exactly. Right. So that is why it's so important for us, especially as believers, to be in our word so that we will know the characteristics of God and be able to display those attributes. But then that we're walking close enough with the Lord and having the ability to hear or feel when the Holy Spirit is nudging us to do things that we don't want to do, because that happens too. It's a lot of times you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. And God is like, but you are. You are. How about that? Okay. So, okay, let me go put this last banner back up. So, listen, listen, listen. As I was rattling around, is this too disconnected for you guys? Does this feel all over the place? Just because we just chatting, we just discussing a few topics this morning. So now we're on to topic number 3, which still I think kind of walks into this, because we're talking about societal pressures, right? And the reason this is the real reason why I brought up the societal pressures. These things that came up were great, wonderful, because this is our real lives, the people that are on this right now. However, I have been noticing this trend, you guys, and it's not, I guess it's not crazy to me, because I used to always say when I wake up in the morning, I just have to remind myself, everybody crazy, the world is crazy, so that I am not shocked by anything that happens. Just not. So it takes a lot to shock me in 2025. Like when I hear things happen, my heart may be grieved about certain things, but I am really like never shocked. I'm just not, because I just know every day, welcome to crazy. Just welcome to crazy. And if it wasn't for, I think, my walk with the Lord, I might be crazy too. I don't know how people make it without the Lord. I think it's in a false reality. That's what I'm going to say. They live in like how people always say, you live in the matrix. I think they live in the matrix. So anyway, I have been noticing this trend, and it actually just happened recently with someone I know. That their wife was just, come here. Why are you laughing? Their wife was just like, yeah, I don't want to do this no more. Welcome to crazy, right? Welcome to the crazy, right? So yeah, I don't want to be married no more. Nothing happened. Like there was no I guess, warning signs, but there's always warning signs, right? We just don't pay attention to them. No abuse, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally. Um, no, I mean, nothing, no major life changes other than maybe early midlife crisis, because we do have those as women. But just like, yeah, this is not working for me anymore. So I think I'm probably just gonna not be married. Oh, okay. And so I have noticed that trend, and I don't have TikTok, but sometimes I watch a YouTube video and somebody is like commenting, or like, what is it called? What's it called, you guys, when you, oh, reacting to like a video. And just like I say on my podcast, I don't really like to name names, because I never want people to think like I'm um want them to feel bad about themselves. Not that a celebrity would ever, hear my coffee and chat, but I'm just always mindful of. I just don't like to make like bring women down or make women feel bad about themselves. And part of the reason is because we all mess up, we all fall short. Our sins are just different. Like, we have different struggles, and what you might do, that I'd be like, oh, you might look at what I did and be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So who I don't feel like I have the right. Like, I think we can bring correction in a loving way, but I don't think that we are put here to demean people or make them feel bad about their life choices. That's my opinion. And so when I see this trend, that I have noticed, of women just like being like, I've been married X amount of years. My husband's great. Please stop leading with my husband's great. Everything is good. He's doing nothing wrong. I just I just I don't know. I don't want to be married anymore. Girl, what? I just almost lose my mind. But then I remember, welcome to Crazy Town. Welcome to Crazy Town. And I believe like deception is so prevalent in the world that we live in today. Because, for instance, how I was talking about my friend whose wife is going through this thing right now. And then it's been like since, I want to say it was like January, February, when it all like kind of like happened. And she literally said the other day, she literally said, "Ah, I don't know why I did that," or like, what was I thinking? Like, I don't know if I made a huge mistake or not. This is what she said. I don't know if I made a huge mistake or not. You did, but I digress. So these women on social media, and if you look at these celebrities like in real life, they're just like, this was fun. Almost like if you want to change your job, like you decided you was going to be a nurse and you were nursing for like 12 years. And then you're like, oh, the nursing experience was enriching. I loved being a nurse. I loved helping patients. This was great. But now I feel like this season of my life is changing. I want something different. I don't want to be a nurse anymore. Um, I think I want to go back to school and be a lawyer. I just want to be a lawyer now. Or I want to be a preschool teacher. That was good for then. But now I'm on to something different. And that is really how women are looking at marriages today. Now, I know I get backlash even from like my own friend group, because I am not a traditional feminist. I am not a feminist in the way that feminism has changed over the decades. I believe in, you know, when we needed the right to vote, for sure. When you are in the workplace, equal pay, for sure. Like, I believe in those types of things. However, I can be traditional in the sense that I definitely believe that our families come first. And I heard a celebrity, and again, I don't name names because I don't like to shame people. She made this comment, and she said, um, that she basically doesn't like agree with women, staying home, with their children and that kind of thing. Basically, whether they can afford it or not. Okay. As you can see from my face, I don't agree with that. If that's their choice and that's what their, them and their spouse, they decide to do. What's wrong with that? So, she was like, I wanted to pursue my career, and her career was acting. And she was like, at all cost. She was like, and I had this child, she had a child, and she was like, I wasn't going to let that stop me. And my needs needed to come before her needs. I think that's totally the opposite of what parenting is. Now, when they become adults, I mean, hey, but when they're children, like, what? Your needs come first? That's totally not correct. So then she went on to say that, her daughter, they are really kind of at odds, even though she loves her daughter loves her, but because her daughter really has expressed, like, you were never there for me. Like, basically, someone else raised me, but you were supposed to be my mother. Now, there are situations where we find ourselves, because I was a single, did they grow apart, unequally yoked? Oh, you're talking about the marriage. Okay, we're gonna back up. We're gonna back up. Okay. So look, y'all, I lost some views on me not being a feminist, but that's all right. So I'm gonna come back to this whole thing about being tricked out your marriage. So I'm gonna say no, they weren't unequally yoked, because neither one of them are really believers. Like, they're I shouldn't say that, they're not walking with the Lord. Because I can't tell you who's saved and who not. But they say, like, oh, I'm not religious. Like, I believe in God. Like, they're like that. Um, and I this is me. I don't believe in growing apart. I don't believe in growing apart because your marriage vows don't say till we grow apart. Till we grow apart. They literally don't say until we grow apart. And and there are clearly some things in the Bible that God is like, okay, I don't really, want people to get divorced. However, if there's some adultery going on and you decide you can't work through it and you want to, then hey, I'm going to give you a pass. But I still hate divorce. I don't. I definitely don't believe in any kind of physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, even financial abuse, in some cases. But there were none of those factors in the there were none of those factors. So for me, growing apart is not a valid reason for getting a divorce. Me, for me. But I do know in the world system, the world culture, they feel that's a valid reason. Oh, we grew apart. So now let's go find somebody else. I don't think that's valid, because I believe that you can work through growing apart. You need to find some things that you like to do in common. You need to find out what were the things you had in common before. What are the reasons why you feel you're growing apart now? Like, what is the reason? And as far as being unequally yoked, you got to determine that before you get married, because you can really get married and be unequally yoked, but that is why you flesh these things out before marriage. And a lot of this is not supposed to turn into a marriage one, but we're just chatting today. Before you get married, which so many people don't do because they're so in love, they don't take the time to understand who the true person is that they're marrying. They're in love with and marrying what's been presented to them. But I think a lot of times we don't take the opportunity to understand their background, how they were raised, where they're from. um, do you want to have children? How do you want to raise our children? Do both of us want to work? Like, what's the career going to be? How are we going to provide for our children? Do we want to rent? Do we want to own? Where are we going to spend holidays at? How is my family going to mesh with your family? How am I going to mesh with your family? How are you going to mesh with my family? Do we have an understanding that we are the core, and what goes on outside of us are just opinions, but they don't affect our decision making? There's so many levels of being equally yoked. A lot of times people look at equally yoked as just being married to someone else who's saved or who is a believer. But you can both be believers and still be unequally yoked. because you're yoking yourself to this person, and every just like if your person is next to you and you could just their face could stick to yours, they arm, you're yoking, you're becoming one. You're becoming one. So if your beliefs in not just the Lord, but in many aspects of life, if they don't align with their beliefs, then you're going to be disconjointed. Like, okay, we here, up, we don't connect here. We back, up, we don't connect here. And so you have to determine in advance. You have to determine in advance these places where we don't align. Are these things that we can come together on, or are these deal breakers? Like this being unequally yoked, is this major enough for me to say we probably won't be a good fit as a married couple? And I know we've invested 2, maybe 3 years into this, but I'd rather split now because I know this is something I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on, and I know this is something you're going to stand 10 toes down on. And so this thing here makes us unequally yoked, even though we're both believers. We have to take the time to look at every aspect of our life. And then there will be things that come along down the line in the future that we have to determine how are we going to deal with. So I think, okay, I'm gonna get to your comment in a second, Susan. So I think that that's a huge issue. However, when we're talking about non-believers, because everybody is not going to live based on biblical principles. When we're talking about non-believers, and we're seeing these women who are like, yeah, I just don't want to be married no more. I just don't want to do it. But what we are finding is a lot of times, if you check back with these women 1, 2 years later, when there was truly nothing wrong in the marriage, they are regretting it. It's so sad. They're regretting it. And so that's why I made this don't get tricked out of your life. Don't get tricked out of your life trying to do what the world is telling you to do. Stop looking at social media and listening to these crazy people who are like, do this, do that, do that. And they're only showing you the highlight reel of their lives. And behind those reels, they are not happy. And I'm not saying this is true for all people, because it's definitely not true for all people. So back to what I was saying about this celebrity who, was saying about, putting her career first, da 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 da. So what she ended up in essence saying was that she's the adult, and she basically, in short, didn't care how it affected her daughter, because she was able to provide her daughter with this lifestyle, which I'm sure the daughter appreciated. Who doesn't want to be able to not struggle and have what they need? That's just common. That's just a common, like, human, thing in us. But the daughter was also saying, like, but I needed you. I needed you. So the daughter, I'm sure, has this struggle of, yes, I appreciate this life you gave me, but I needed you to be my mom. And don't get it twisted that our children, when we don't show up for them in the way that they need us to in their formative years, they are affected by that into their adulthood, which is why we see what we see today, like on social media and on the news, because a lot of times these children are raising themselves, for one, or their parents are not very present because they're working so hard to give their kids all the material things and the good life, especially like if you grew up struggling. You want to make sure your kids don't have to struggle. You want to make sure that they have the things you didn't have. But a lot of times these kids, they want a relationship with their parents. Yes, okay, it's great. Okay, I got an iPad. Okay, it's great. I go to the best schools. Okay, it's great. We live in a 4,000 square foot house. But where are you? Where are you? And I firmly believe that there is nothing wrong with, um, especially if you have a two-parent household and you can afford, even if it's a little bit of a struggle, but you can still be okay. I think it's nothing wrong with women staying home with their children to be there and really nurture them and undergird them to make sure that they're good and that they don't miss out on that opportunity to bond. And I do believe that God put that nurturing in us because we are supposed to be able to nurture our children. Now, am I saying you can't have a career, you can't work, you can't do those kinds of things and nurture your children? Definitely not saying that. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation is different. But I do know that as the feminist movement like really moved forward, we as women became more, I think, hungry for success in the way the world terms success. We became more foot forward in like, I want to be a CEO. I want to be this. I don't care if I got to work 16 hours a day. I don't care if I got to work 80 hours a week. Well, if you're working 80 hours a week, who's raising your kids? Who's raising your kids? Let's work 40 hours a week and be able to pick up our kids or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Okay. So let's get off that soapbox. But let me get Susan's okay, and I don't think we don't have a solid clear okay, I think you're saying I don't think we have a solid clear understanding of the Bible. I think that equally yoked starts with the relationship we have with God first. For sure. Yes. Yes. I t- I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Because and this is something that, I was talking to my daughter about like a couple years ago, and this is because I live from a biblical aspect, a biblical worldview. I do not believe that a man can love me properly. I ain't speaking for you. This is the truth that I understand from the word. I don't believe that a man can love you properly if he does not love the Lord and if he does not have a relationship with the Lord. And I say that because they can love you to the best of their ability. So they can love you in the way that they understand love to be, however they learned it, whether they learned it from their parents, from life experience, from the world, from TV, from movies. They can love you to the best of their ability from what they know how. But there is a different kind of love that God shows a man how to love his wife as Christ loved the church. Can you imagine if a man could really love us the way that God loved his church, and we're part of the body, we're part of the church? Can you imagine, like, if you think you have a solid relationship and your husband like treats you well, he loves you to the best that he can via the world, but then you sprinkle on that the love of the Father that God has shown him how to love you? Ain't nothing like it. Not that you won't have disagreements and fights, and you still becoming one, and so it's still gonna be some tussles here and there. But can you really imagine what that kind of love is? And I am telling you, when me and my husband, first got married, we went through like fake marriage counseling. I don't even call well, we did wasn't even real marriage counseling, y'all. I can't even, you know, I can't even talk about that. And we we had a struggle in the two becoming one because we were so different. We were raised differently. We had different beliefs. Like his walk with the Lord um wasn't, where my walk was. And when I look back, my walk wasn't even where I thought it was. So how about that? And then you trying to become one, and like I had one foot in the world, one foot in the kingdom. He had like both feet in the world, and he would come back to the kingdom. Then he had one foot in, one foot out. Like, I mean, it was just a mess. So when we both really threw out our way of doing things and really tuned in and really started walking in unison with the Lord, not that we didn't still have issues, because that coming one, woo, woo. But when we began to really put God first, and it's like, okay, God, whatever you say, even if I'm like, Lord, I really want to say something. I really, oh God, is like right, and He's probably saying the same thing on the other side. I know there were times, like one time we were sitting in the closet. I don't even know what we was arguing about. This was like years ago, and my husband was like, I don't even want to do this no more. I was like, bet. And then we was like, almost like, what we saying? Like, don't be stupid. Like, but he was saying, I don't want to do this arguing anymore. Like, I'm just tired of this. And that was when we kind of was like first, like both really coming into our rightful place of kind of understanding what marriage was, understanding our roles in marriage. And I think sometimes people feel like these traditional roles of marriage in the Bible, they're oppressive and things like that. But when you really have an understanding of how God designed marriage, I might do a chat on just marriage, you guys. When you really have an understanding of the way God designed marriage and what our roles in marriage are, you don't feel suppressed or oppressed or any. I have no issues submitting to my husband. None whatsoever. And I know some women say like, well, he ain't worth submitting to. Like he ain't doing this, he ain't doing this, he ain't doing this. So I ain't about to submit because he ain't submittable. He ain't worth submitting. And if you're still in the world, I totally get that. If you are a believer, that's not what submission is based on. It ain't based on what he's doing. I used to tell my mom, like early in my marriage, like me being a good wife is not dependent on what he does because I made a commitment and a covenant to the Lord. And even though I fell short on that covenant multiple times, as you know, like our marriage, moved forward and we just went through different, things in our marriage. But I really like when I first got married, I was really like, gung ho, like while he's growing and I'm growing, what he's doing does not affect the commitment that I made to the Lord to be a wife. Now, eventually, that kind of started wearing on me. And I was like, okay, God, I know I said that, but you see this mess over here? And I said that to say, when we as believers really want to please God, it's really not about sometimes our feelings. And like there were times in my marriage where my husband wasn't really like, in my opinion, like he's not doing things that make me feel like I trust him enough that I can submit because I feel like my idea might be better in this situation. My idea is better. But like we talked about earlier in the live, sometimes you have to sit back and observe and let God do. I didn't know that back then. So I'm my thought mighty tongue everlasting. Going there, right? So how we were talking about early in the live, sometimes you have to sit back and observe. You don't have to go toe to toe all the time. You don't have to always let your opinion be heard. You don't have to stand your ground on everything. Sometimes you have to take it to the Lord and you have to leave it there and you have to trust God with it. You have to trust God with it and allow Him to work the situation out, not even on your behalf, work the situation out the way that He sees fit. That was a huge thing for me too. And once I was able to start doing that, my husband started being able to step into his role. A husband can never be king and priest of his home. He can never it's God's design for God for the man to run the house. I don't care what nobody say. That's just biblically what it is. The man is the head. He fall under the Lord. You fall under him. Boom. That's just what it is. At least in my house. I can't tell you what to do in your house. And in this whole going back to feminism again, in this whole age of us as women trying to find our place outside of God, we have stepped into this head of household role. And it really does take away from the man's feeling respected and really being able to walk in authority, not in iron fist authority, but in love for his family authority, love for his wife, and being able to know that you trust him enough to run the household. Period. Even if you're the one who, like pays all the bills, like writes the bill out or controls the money. Like you have to know how to understand what each one's strong suits are and come together and decide, okay, this is how the household gonna run. But knowing at the end of the day, so at the end of the day, at my household, my husband got the last word. He got the final say. And because I'm submitting to Christ in my marriage, then I just have to trust it, even if I don't agree with it. And sometimes he will even come back and say, you was right. We should have done it that way. But God gives us grace for that because I know in my heart that my husband is never doing anything that's trying to harm me, hurt me, or be a detriment to our household. Because a detriment to me is like a wound in his life, in his side. So that's what I got to say about that, y'all. So we didn't have a topic today. Maybe I should start having no topics. Maybe we should start just having conversation. So Yeah, okay. I might have to do a marriage workshop, you guys. I think let me know if y'all think I should do a marriage workshop. Just let me know in the comments. Because I would love to be able to, like, I've been married for 31 years. I've been married for 31 years this month. 31 years. And I've lived in marriage on both sides. I've done it my way, the world's way. Me and my husband did it the way we thought together. I did some stuff like my friend be like, "Oh, you should do that." Okay. And then I did it God's way. I did it God's way. Um, yeah, 31 years. Yes, yes, 31 years in. Um, what you mean why? Why what? I don't know what you said. Can singles attend? Yes, like anybody will be able to because like I said earlier, I think a lot of times when we first get married, we don't really understand what marriage is and what we're signing up for. And then sometimes we get in and be like, what? I thought it was gonna be like, oh, we're just in love. Everything is great. We pay our bills together. We're raising our children. We're going to the park on the weekends. We're having family gatherings. We have date night. We're having sex all the time. Like life is just great. Nothing gets better. Marriage is awesome. Everybody should get, everybody should get married. Everybody. And then you hit your first bump. And depending on how serious the bump is, you're like, what? Nobody told me about this. No, nobody told me that marriage could suck some days. Some days you might go through a season of suckiness. But if you could come through on the other side, boy, you'd be so much greater. Wait. So, okay, let me pray about it because I'm putting together like a workshop slash boot camp like the kind I used to do. I'm gonna only open it up for 6 women because it's gonna be a beta version because in the beta version of this new workshop I'm getting ready to put out to the public in the fall, but I want to do a version of it in a beta group to kind of test it out, get feedback, see how it goes. Da, da, da. So you guys will hear more about that later. Like I'll send the email out because I'm not gonna like technically advertise it like to the public. I'm just gonna like if you're on Coffee and Chat for sure, I'll send it out to the email list and then like the group that I belong to, the Bootstrap Biz Advice. I never post. We have a whole app, y'all. Um, and LaShonda is younger than me, but I do consider her like a business mentor. Y'all, she got a whole app for us who are in her membership, group. And I hardly ever go in the app, but we can like post things in there. We can invite others to join us on our journey and things like that. And I never remember to take advantage of that part. And oh, Susan, let me tell you this because you're on. You were talking about Bible, I think it's Uverse, the Bible, what are they called? The Bible plans, the plans. So one of the persons in our business bootstrap advice, yeah, his name is Paul Allen. He actually has a plan, and I started the plan. I haven't had a chance to finish, even though it was 5 days because I had went out of town. But I'm gonna get back on it and finish it because I want to give him some feedback. Um, but shout out to Lashonda, Bootstrap Biz Advice. You guys, if you're interested in like starting a business, a YouTube channel, whatever. I mean, she just does so much stuff. Flow Desk, I just so many affiliates. I can't even name them all, probably 5,000. But I've learned so much being part of her community. And her name is LaShonda Brown. Shout out LaShonda. Her channel is Bootstrap Biz Advice. I would drop the link about her membership, but I have a personalized one. I don't even know it, y'all. So anyway, you can always look her up. Matter of fact, let me type her information in here because I have learned. I think community is everything. Um, uh, And so I said all that to say when I get ready to recruit 6 women for the beta group, I'll just be recruiting from like our here, the email list, and that that community there. I do know already up front, it's a beta, so I'm only going to charge $99 because in that I'm looking for your feedback to make this be awesome. So when I launch it for real, it's like life changing for women because that's what I'm all about. Oh, I didn't even know you was on Dr. Lolita. Yes, so Dr. Lolita is in the bootstrap community with me. That's how I met her. I mean, it's just a great. I mean, it really is. Yes, I will share it in the community because I'm so awful about being in there. Lashonda fussed at me about not putting this in the community, so you see, I put it in there like at the last minute. So, ladies, gosh, it's been an hour. So, is there anything else we need to touch on before we head out for the day? I have to be at a T at 12 o'clock, so I gotta run upstairs. My clothes ready though. I gotta run upstairs, slap my little dress on. I guess I'm gonna wear a dress. It was raining earlier, and go to this tea that my mom she has a table at a tea, so we bought tickets to go, blah 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 blah. So I have to go do that, and then like I said, my sister came in at 5 this morning, so I gotta go pick her and my niece up from the hotel. I'm gonna take them to get something to eat. Um, my niece is here because her orientation for college starts tomorrow. She's coming to college out here, so she's gonna be with me for the next 4 years. Hopefully, she likes her school, or she'll be going back home to California. She don't. Yes, yes, she sure is. She sure is, Doctor. Um, all right, ladies. So if there is nothing else, I hope that you enjoyed this free form coffee and chat today. If you guys would like to do free form more often as opposed to having a specific topic, let me know. I really enjoyed the free form. And maybe we could do something like when we log on, you guys can drop in the comments like things you want to discuss and we'll discuss them. Also, let me add this. Because I use a service called StreamYard to do my coffee and chat, if you ever want to come on camera with me and ask a question or things like that, that is always available as well. I will start mentioning that at the beginning of the beginning of the coffee and chats, and I will put a link in. So if by chance you're like, hey, I want to come on live and ask my questions so I can feel like I'm actually talking to you and we can discuss, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So we will start that on the coffee and chat in August. All right, ladies. So it looks like the chat is clear. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Let me get my assets back up here. Let's get this outro going. So y'all know that's all I got. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for logging on.